Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. So glad to see everybody. So good to see you. Also, if you could do me a favor really quick before we begin, could you please give me a yes if you can hear me? Let's do a quick audio check. Today, we're going to have a really great topic. Let me know. Give me a yes in the chat if I'm coming through all right. Today, we're going to finish talking about Diddy. There was an update on Diddy that I think is worth discussing. There are financial implications to these new allegations that have just come out, as well as just a discussion on strategy in terms of what is happening here and what I see down the pike. I even wonder and I worry for guys like Jay-Z and others because hip-hop is having a moment where chickens are coming home to roost. Now I'm going to break this down for you. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, buckle up a seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Guys, welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and it's so good to see everybody. I want to say hello to everybody also on TikTok. My TikTok is Boyce Watkins. Make sure you are careful to avoid the fake TikToks because apparently there's hundreds of fake accounts with my name on it. My TikTok has probably a little bit over 30,000, so it's not that big. So that way you can know it's really me and not a fake account. Also, hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share. Make sure you thumbs up, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Let me know you can hear me. Give me a quick yes. You can hear me. Shout out your city. And also, I want to remind everybody that this platform, the reason we exist is because we are B1. That means Black first. Black first means we put our community at the top of our priority list. Black first means we educate our kids. Black first means we build wealth. If you agree with this philosophy, put a B1 in the chat. All the wealth builders, put your B1s out here because that's what we do. That's how we live. So this conversation is not going to be one that's built around the gossip of it all. You can find that on other platforms. I'm sure there's plenty of salacious platforms that'll give you the gossip of it. I'm going to talk about the economics of it. I'm going to talk about the business of it. I'm going to talk about the culture of this. Give me a yes or no if you saw that Diddy is facing yet another public accusation, another major lawsuit. There is a big lawsuit. Hello, Jeffrey. I see you in there, and Omar and Natasha. There's another big lawsuit apparently filed by a woman who claims that she was a minor at the time that she chose to get with Diddy, at the time that they, but remember, because she's a minor, she may have made that choice, but at the same time, as the adult male, you are the one that's held responsible. You're the one that's going to be held responsible. So I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to put it into context a little bit so we can kind of sort of talk about this in a way where I'm probably going to agree with you sometimes and we're going to disagree sometimes, but give me a yes if we can have a nuanced discussion, an honest discussion where we can disagree and still love each other. Give me a yes in the chat if we can sometimes agree to disagree and still love each other. I think that's really important because I know these things get politically charged, and sometimes rather than hearing out alternative ideas, people just want to call you names and attack and dismantle and destroy and discredit everything you say before you say it. We don't do that up in here. You can disagree with me and I'm going to hear you because I actually learn more from people who disagree with me than I learn from people who agree with me. So don't try to put me in a box. I won't put you in a box because I'm tired of Black folks living in the trap. They got us in all these traps. We grew up in the trap in the hood. We got the corporate trap, the student loan trap. We got the Democrat Republican trap. Ain't no traps up in here. We do freedom up in here. Give me a yes if you are on board with this idea. If you're not on board with it, that's okay. You can sit to the side. And if you want to be a troll, you better be a quiet troll because all trolls will get banned immediately. We have over 1 million followers on different platforms. We don't need you here. We're not begging you to stay. Let's get started here. All right. So now that we agree that we're going to have a smart conversation, let's talk about Diddy. Here's the article in Variety, and I think this is a heavy one. I think Diddy's people are probably freaking out a little bit. They're strategizing. And it says here that Sean Diddy Combs was accused in a lawsuit on Wednesday of gang raping a 17-year-old girl in 2003. That's 20 years ago. So the 17-year-old girl is now a 37-year-old girl who is who's filing a lawsuit, marking the fourth sexual assault allegation lodged against the producer in recent weeks. The plaintiff identified as Jane Doe, alleges that she was flown on a private jet from Michigan to Combs' recording studio in New York, where she was raped by 3 people, including Combs and Harve Pierre, the president of Bad Boy Entertainment. Now, let's stop there, okay? So, I'm the guy who asks the questions that don't get asked by the media. I'm sorry, I'm going to be that asshole today, and maybe there are some fellow assholes in the room that are going to ask some of the hard questions about all of this, right? And it's not a question about the alleged victim, right? Because we're not here to talk about victim blame and all that stuff, and I'm not here to defend Puffy's record. Y'all know Diddy like I do in the sense that maybe I know a little bit more because I know people that know him, and I'm not. And I want to make it clear. Let me know if you understand this. I am not here defending Diddy. I am not part of Diddy's defense team. I'm not Team Diddy. I'm not out here. I'm not nobody's team. I am Team Facts. I'm Team common sense. I'm Team 2 + 2 must equal 4. If 2 + 2 don't equal 4, don't tell me 2 + 2 equals 186. I'm not going to do that. That's what they're doing when things get political, is they tell you the 2 + 2 must equal 114. I'm like, no, it doesn't. I taught math at the University of Kentucky, and last time I checked, 2 + 2 was always going to be 4, no matter how you feel about it, no matter what your feelings say. So here's the thing I want to ask. First question I got to ask as they're coming to me. God is sending me these questions, so I'm going to ask them publicly. Who put you on that private jet? What? How does this happen? Anybody got kids? How many of y'all got kids? Give me a yes. How many of y'all got kids? How many of you would put your teenage daughter on a private jet to go see a rapper? Yes or no? Would you do that? Let me tell you, I got 2 girls in our house, 16 and 13. They look like their mama. And let me tell you, when I met their mother, she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. Most beautiful. I saw her across a crowded room. I was electrified. Well, these 2 girls look like their mama. And we go places, and I see the boys looking at the girls, and I see and then she has a son. Let me tell you about her son, who's 20. He's not only got the good genes of his mama and his daddy. His daddy's a great guy. I'm the bonus dad, which I love, by the way. I love being the bonus dad. But his dad is 6'6", and he was such a handsome man. I'm not making this up. He was such a handsome man that he literally looked like Morris Chestnut, to the point where people would come up and ask for his autograph. He met Oprah. Oprah went up and said, "Hey, how you been?" Like she knew this guy and wanted to talk, like she thought he was more. So this is the genetics in the family, right? This is what the girls got. This is what the boys got. And I told the boy, I had to warn the boy. I said, "Look, you're 6'9", smart as a whip, and you got your parents' genetics. These little girls going to be all over you like flies on feces. They're going to be chasing you down." We took him to campus. This is true story. Real life stuff. Real life, dads. I love the dad role. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't think I'm corny, but I love it. It's fun for me. And we go to campus, and I see the girls in the hallway looking up and smiling like, did you see that? And I had to have that conversation with him where I said, please don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. You can't do that. You can't run around here disrespecting your seed and putting yourself in jeopardy, laying down with any big butt and a smile that walks by, because there's consequences to this. So this is the conversation I had to have with the boy, because black men are in danger. Black boys are in danger. I'm not talking about Diddy now. Let's just be clear. I'm going to separate this from Diddy, because Diddy's a different conversation. But this is just something for your sons. You have to warn them. They're in danger. Black men have always been in danger. They've always been in danger. And in fact, here's the thing about black men are in danger. The thing where they throw the rope-a-dope on you is they got you thinking that the only way your son could get in trouble is if he runs into a cop. My son, he went out today and I'm scared to death that he's going to run into the police. I'm not saying that can't happen. I'm not saying that at all. But I know a lot of cops, and I've run into a lot of cops. And I ain't never had a time where I thought I might get killed by a cop. It just hey, can I see your license? Yeah, here you go. Okay, well, don't drive so fast. And they say, here's your ticket. Have a nice day. That's it. That's usually what happens. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying that they don't do stuff. I know the corruption. But what I'm really interested in is the fact that they got you thinking so much just about the cops that you forget about all the other ways that your son is in danger. Because cops can sometimes kill a black man, but ignorant niggas kill probably twice as many black men as the cops. Y'all do know that you got ignorant people in your community, and I don't use the N-word very often, but y'all know that culture. You got guys that look like your son who would love to see your son in a casket, love to get your son caught up in a situation that gets him 50 years in prison, love to see your son suffer the way they're suffering. So just be clear, you got multiple enemies. And then another threat to the black male that your son must be mindful of is ambiguous situations that involve women. Let's say that. You sent your son to Duke University. He got his bachelor's degree, went and got his master's at the University of Virginia. So he starts thinking he's a highfalutin Negro. He's doing good. And he thinks he don't listen to people like me because he thinks racism doesn't exist anymore. Oh, you're too radical. Your white people don't like you, Dr. Boyce. I'm going to go over here. Okay, you go ahead and do that. Go ahead. Good luck, man. Good luck. I hope things work out for you at the firm. Good luck at the firm, buddy. So he goes to the firm. And he's like our son, 6'9", good looking, girls all over him. So he's getting it in. He's loving it, right? He's driving a sports car. He's making $100,000. He's got all the women that he wants. And then one day, somebody just makes an accusation. And not even a bad one, not like one that's like, oh, he raped me. It could be like, he harassed me. He made me uncomfortable. I was very uncomfortable. So I'm going to HR because, Tyrone is making me feel a little bit, I feel scared. I feel a little nervous. And next thing you know, your son is in a situation. Next thing you know, your son, at best, he gets fired and loses his career and gets blackballed, by the way. He's not going to get hired by another company. So all that years of Duke and Virginia and all that don't matter no more. Or at worst, he ends up with his mugshot on TV. Because somebody accuses him of something that is kind of hard to unprove. It's very hard to not prove that you didn't touch somebody, right? It's hard to do that. There's a brother in Kansas. I can't remember his name. I worked with his family. This poor kid in college sat with a girl for 5 minutes, never even slept with her, but got accused of something and got 9 years in prison. I'm still can't wrap my mind around that. I talked to his best friend on the phone. I wish I had his name in front of me because I want y'all to go Google it because it was so terrible. I couldn't believe it. So here's the point. Your son is in danger. I need you to kind of understand that. I need you to realize that he's got to play chess, not checkers. Rappers are going to have problems because rappers, not all of them, they are brilliant lyricists in some cases, but some of them, half of them, not the good ones. I'm not talking about D1. I'm not talking about Immortal Technique. I'm not talking about Kendrick Lamar. I'm talking about those other guys. You know who I'm talking about. They're stupid. They're dumb as hell. Why? Well, because now they got your mindset. They got you weeded out, liquored up, and gassed up on all this money and all this fame. And for 20, 30 years, some of you guys were walking around. Albert Wilson, that's his name. Thank you, Lawrence. Albert Wilson. Look up the name of Albert Wilson and see how he's going. Read Albert Wilson's story, and it's going. If you want a scary ass bedtime story that'll keep you up all night, read about Albert Wilson. Read about Albert. My heart, I cried when I heard his story. I talked to his best friend on the phone and said, how is he doing? Because it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. It can only happen to a black man. This don't happen to white women. White women don't have to get up worrying about being the next Albert Wilson, but your son does. Albert, see, some of these stories, when you hear about a police shooting or you hear about somebody getting incarcerated, something happening, it's harder to relate to. Because if you're like, well, so-and-so got shot and he was in the middle of a drug deal and the police killed him illegally, then it's hard to relate to that because you're not going to be in the middle of a drug deal. You ain't out here thugging. You ain't out here doing crazy stuff. Albert Wilson's story was a problem because Albert Wilson was just like a lot of your sons. He was a college kid, awkward with women, thought he might try to get some, but then decided he didn't want none from this girl. And from what the story looks like, it looks like she just got mad and then realized, oh, that's right. You're black and I'm a white girl. So I'm going to accuse you of whatever I want. And people are going to believe me because I'm a white girl, just like they did in 1842. Y'all don't understand. This is nothing new. This has always occurred, right? And so again, I want to make it clear, though. I'm not talking about Diddy completely yet, but I have to lay the context because I want to relate it to you. I don't want to just talk about the celebrities and stuff. They're not important, but you are important. So let's get back to Diddy. All right. So the girl gets on a private jet to go see Diddy. I want to know who put you on that jet. Which parent do I blame for the fact that you expose your child to a situation where she's hanging out with a bunch of Negroes in the studio at 2 o'clock in the morning, where people are weed it out and lick it up, and only God knows it can happen. What can happen, and also because your daughter's 17 and she thinks she's grown, she may have probably chosen to get into situations that she shouldn't have gotten into. Now, again, I want to make it clear that just because she made that decision, guys, that does not mean you have a right to pursue that, right? So I'm not saying that at all. So stop with all the politicized victim blaming bullshit. That's stupid to me. That's silly to me. I know that when I was 17, I made choices for myself. How many of y'all, when you were 17, made choices for yourself? When I was 17, there's 1,000 choices I could have made that could have got me 50 years in prison, and there would be nobody to say, oh, no, because you were a minor, somebody tricked you into it, and so you don't deserve any punishment. You don't deserve any accountability, just only the adults who brought you in. Seriously, if I met some older men, and let's say that instead of trying to sleep with me, they were trying to get me to do business with them. They were like, hey, you go and sling some crack on the corner. If I'm 17 slinging crack on the corner, I go to prison. Nobody steps in and says, oh, well, no, you were a victim. We're going to hide your identity and allow you to sue. Like seriously, if I'm 17 years old and I'm a black boy and some older black men convince me to break the law and I go to jail for that, or I have a hard time because of that, I can't sue them 20 or 30 years later and say I was manipulated or that I wasn't able to consent, right? But that's a privilege that mostly white women get, but this woman, I don't know, this woman might actually be black. And what I'm saying to you is that there are different rules that end up being applied in some situations than from others. And people have become so deformed in their thinking that they really think that this makes sense. Again, the politics, they tell you that 2 + 2 is 187, and some of y'all just believe it. Some of y'all just say, "Oh, okay, yeah." And then if you carry the 9, you get a 482, and then you divide by 6, you get 9,445. They got you thinking like that. Logic goes out the window. So when somebody like me comes along and says, "No, I think 2 + 2 is actually 4," your first reaction isn't to prove me wrong, because you can't. Your reaction is anger, or your reaction is to discredit. Dr. Boyce hates women. No, I don't. I got daughters. I got a wife. You ain't even got a wife. Like I have women in my life that I take care of. Stop that. Dr. Boyce is a sexist. No. I'm just being honest here. I believe women can do anything. I believe women are equal to men in terms of decision-making ability. My body, my choice. I am woman. Hear me roar. So I believe that women do make choices, right? Now here's the thing, though. She is 17, and that is technically against the law, right? And that's the part where men have to be extremely smart. And here's the thing. Rappers aren't smart. Most of them are made to be dumb. They got you running around here thinking, I'm not black, I'm OJ. So effectively what happened was, in my opinion, again, I don't know about this particular situation, but I'm willing to bet you that there's probably about 20,000 40-year-old women who wanted to, maybe chose to go hang out with some of these rappers in the studio when they were 17, 16 years old, who are like, damn, I got a lawsuit. Tell me if you know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to tell you like this. I bet Jay-Z is shaking in his boots. Jay-Z ain't saying nothing. Jay-Z ain't defending nobody. He ain't making no statements. Jay-Z ain't saying a word. Nas ain't saying a word. Ain't nobody saying nothing. And the reason I believe they're not saying anything is because you know in your heart of hearts that a lot of dudes were messing with 16, 17-year-old girls in the studio. Why? Well, because hip hop culture is toxic for the black male. It has been the greatest poison to the existence of black men in the last 30 or 40 years. It is a cultural cancer where guys get in the studio, start smoking, start drinking, start doing whatever. Your inhibitions are released. Next thing you know, you done did some stuff that could get you locked up or get you sued 20, 30 years later. Like, seriously, that's what's going on. And because it happened in 1999, and then you got to 2009 and 2019, you're thinking, oh, that was just me being young and crazy. Ain't nobody never going to know. Oh, but that girl knows. She remembers, oh, wait a minute. Oh, and I was real mad at that guy because he had me in the studio and yeah, I slept with him deliberately, but I was underage and he is a bastard. He cut me off as soon as he got done. He just told me to get the hell on Because you know how hip hop can get. Hip hop gets real disrespectful toward women. So there's probably a lot of angry women who are ready to go file these lawsuits. In fact, I know for a fact, I'm gonna tell you like this. I know for a fact. I'm not going to say no names. I'm not even trying to get into it. I know for a fact that one of the people involved with the R. Kelly documentary was a person who was known for getting around with rappers, who scammed other people, right? So really, what you're really talking about in some of these accusations is criminals snitching on criminals, scammers snitching on scammers, right? But because we're caught in this simple-minded thinking, we look at it as like him good or her good, him bad, good versus evil. No, what you have is similar to the Cosby culture or Cosby show situation or a Bill Cosby thing. You had a very toxic culture where toxic people were getting together, engaging in toxic behavior. And some of the people are coming out of that toxic culture and saying, I was a victim, y'all. Give me money, y'all. And some of them are just running a scam, just like the person that did whatever they did to them. I'm not saying all of them are. I'm not saying it, but this is not the same to me as somebody who says, no, I was a housewife living my life and I wasn't chasing rappers. I wasn't trying to be in any sort of space. And this is what happened to me. I think those cases should be separated from the ones where somebody's like, yeah, I was a groupie and I slept with 100 rappers and I'm going to go ahead and start filing lawsuits because I need money to pay the rent. I think that some of that's in there too. And I think that it's disingenuous to act like every case is the same. I think that's the point, right? So I think with Diddy, again, I want to make it clear. I have to keep reiterating. I'm not out here trying to defend Diddy because I don't know the man. I have no interest in I have that issue too because sometimes I try to be fair. People are like, oh, you're defending him. You're standing up for him. You're trying to protect it. No, I ain't trying to protect nobody but my wife and my kids. So stop that. I'm simply stating reality that does not get applied. And the thing is, though, that if you're a smart black man, you'll understand how this landscape is biased against you. And you'll learn from watching Diddy to know that when you get to the point where you get money and power and that arrogance that comes with it, the same people who built you up are the same ones who will tear you down. The same ones who brought you in this world will take you right out. Diddy, all those people, the Clive Davises and all these other people that made him into who he is, they are going to be the ones that play a part in watching his demise. And so the reality is that, does my heart go out to Diddy? Not really. I don't care. I just will say that when Diddy, y'all remember when Diddy said more money, more problems? Well, this is one of those problems. And but also maybe it's, one other thing he could have said is more money, more strategy. That means even though I know I'm rich and I'm famous and I'm going to have temptations all around me. I'm going to have all the women I want. Maybe for Diddy, maybe he wanted some of the men too. When he had Farnsworth Bentley walking around with an umbrella over his head, that was suspect to me. I thought that was a little strange. You'll never see Dr. Boyce walking down the beach with another man holding an umbrella over my head. That's very weird to me. But anyway, whatever he wanted, he had all that. And effectively what occurs in the hip hop space is you're making a deal with the devil. You're making a deal with the devil because what's happened is that you are simply a tenant in a building that is owned and controlled by wealthy white people in the Jewish community. That's what it is. They built this infrastructure of an entertainment industry that's built on a lot of debauchery, a lot of crazy behavior, drugs, gay stuff, whatever. All that stuff is in there. We know this. So you're coming in, somebody punched your ticket and gave you these opportunities. And what's going to occur is that because you got comfortable in that space, because you forgot that you were black, then later on, when the chickens come home to roost and they hang you out to dry, you're going to have some problems. I think that for some of these artists, honestly, I feel like being rich and famous was the worst thing to ever happen to them. I really think R. Kelly, the worst thing that ever happened to R. Kelly was that he could sing like a bird. He was tall and handsome, and he had lots of money and lots of influence and had lots of women coming around him. So all that did was feed his demons. All that did was feed his addiction. I told you all about that movie that I watched called Dorian Gray. You should all watch the movie Dorian Gray. It's about a man who made a deal with the devil, and all of his demons were constantly being fed to the point where he didn't even recognize himself anymore. He hated himself because he was so toxic, so demonic, so ruined. And so effectively, when you make these deals with the devil, it's going to have consequences. You know, and so I think with Diddy, that's what you're saying right now. Now, anyway, I'm gonna read the rest of this article in a minute. If you can hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. A reminder: this podcast is on Spotify, so if you go to Spotify, I'm on there every day. So look up my name on Spotify. Also, I have a new book out. It's an Amazon bestseller. It's called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. You can get a copy at drboycebooks.com. This is drboycebooks.com. And also on drboycebooks.com, I have a reflective financial journal designed to elevate your economic consciousness called 30 Days to Wealth and Power. Now, the book just sold out. We're going to do a class around it January 1st through January 30th. Every single morning for 30 minutes, we're going to do a 30-minute lesson every single day, 7 days a week, 30 straight days, so we can form financial habits that elevate your economic game. And so basically, the course is $299, but you can actually get in free if you get a copy of the book. The book is just $24. However, we just sold out. So we're going to get some more in stock. If you'd like to be notified when we get more in stock, all you have to do is text the word stock to 31996, STOCK. Text the word stock to 31996, and I'll send you a link as soon as the book becomes available. You can go and get your copy and then show it for class, and I'll give you the rest of the instructions then. All right, so let's read more about Diddy and this accusation. The 17-year-old from 2003 is suing him, and it sounds like it's possible that the law might have been broken, that she might end up sleeping with all these guys. They said rape by 3 people. It's arbitrary whether you use the word rape. If it's consensual, then some would say that's not rape, but then some would say that because she was 17, that she has no ability to consent. I don't agree with that entirely, because when I was 17, I could consent to a lot of things at 17. So I still think that there's some ambiguity there, but I'll let you debate all that. So it says, according to the suit, Combs and his associates plied her with copious amounts of drugs and alcohol. Again, that's another interesting conversation, right? How do you know the difference between somebody who takes drugs versus somebody who was drugged? That's interesting, because if I take drugs, I'm sure when DMX was smoking crack, DMX probably could not sue anybody for cracking him out, right? DMX could not have filed a lawsuit and said, yeah, I took crack, but it was because my wife made me take it, right? He can't say that, right? And DMX, remember, DMX started using drugs when he was 14. That's why, by the way, this is why I hate drugs and alcohol. And I'm angry at any artist who promotes drug use or excessive alcohol use amongst young people is an enemy to the Black community. Seriously, Negro, you might as well go sign up for the KKK, because when you get a teenage kid on drugs, you're ruining his brain for life. You're killing off somebody's husband. You're killing off somebody's father. You're killing off somebody's granddaddy. You're going to have him spend his whole life running away from the demon of drugs, because your dumb ass, when you had the power to guide him to a better life, you didn't. You guided him to Molly and Percocet and drugs and a life of chaos and addiction. And then on top of that, you gave him the power to destroy the lives of all the people around him. I don't know if anybody else has ever dealt with having a parent that was a drug addict. I think the Black community should have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to drugs, and really even with alcohol. I encourage you to be careful, because if I was to account for all the stupid things that Black men and Black women have gone to prison for or died over that involve drugs and alcohol, I'd be counting for the rest of my life. So you lose trillions in Black wealth because there are people that are deliberately pumping drugs into the Black community, starting with some of these rappers. So way to go, D1. Keep fighting the good fight, man, because some of these guys just don't get it. It's okay. This ain't the time to try to fit in. This ain't the time to try to be cool. This ain't the time to try to get people to like you. This is the time where I want every enemy of Black people to hate me. I want every person that wants to harm the Black community to hate my guts. Anybody who's pumping poison into our babies, I want you to hate me. I want you to look at my picture and just get angry because you're so mad at me, because I don't give a damn what you think. Screw you. In fact, fuck you, because what you're doing to Black people is absolutely appalling, and you should be ashamed of yourself. How can you have a Black mama, a Black daddy, Black children? A lot of these guys have children, and yet you're still endorsing the idea of introducing drugs to kids? Are you crazy, Negro? What is wrong with you? You know, and then it just creates these really distorted realities that don't make any sense. Like, I think I saw ASAP Rocky, Rihanna's baby daddy, is like on trial for allegedly pulling out a gun and shooting somebody or something. Why are you shooting people, bro? If you got a billionaire for a baby mama, you're supposed to be at home in your baby mama's mansion getting ready to take care of this kid. But instead, this kid's coming into the world and his daddy might be a prison inmate. Do y'all understand? Am I the only person who doesn't understand the chaos of this culture? Seriously. Do I got to talk like Charleston White to get y'all to hear me? Shout out to Charleston White. I was so happy when Charleston White confronted Cam Newton. He's like, well, it's some people don't like your delivery. It's really, that's not your message. It's not your message now. It's your delivery. It's the way you're delivering the message. And Charleston White just went off and said, you talking about my delivery? My delivery? These guys are rapping about murdering black people and putting drugs in the black community, and you complaining about my delivery. I'm like, what is wrong with you? And this is this is how they got our heads screwed on backwards. Think about this, process this. There are many spaces where I am seen as a dangerous black man. Seriously, there's spaces, there's institutional spaces that I wouldn't go, and I wouldn't be invited to hang out at the Grammys or the BET Awards or whatever. Oh, Dr. Boyce is too dangerous. He's too dangerous. And I find that so strange. I tried to visit a penitentiary one time to visit the father of a friend of mine. His name was Mario Lloyd. He got 14 life sentences with no parole for a drug conviction back in the early 80s. This is where a lot of your fathers and grandfathers are right now. And they did not let me come visit him in that prison for over a year because they Googled me and they saw the books I was reading. Now, I had an Instagram page. 500,000 people follow me. Some of y'all follow me. They took it down. Well, why? Because he's dangerous. Okay, what's dangerous? But at the same time, you have rappers that are getting kids hooked on fentanyl, but that's okay. But I'm dangerous. You got at the same time, you got rappers that are that like Sexy Red that are getting 5-year-olds to rap about how their coochie's pink and their booty hole's brown. Those are the lyrics in the song, in case you don't know. Kindergartners are rapping this now, but yet the college professor who wants black people to be healthy, happy, and strong. Oh, he's dangerous. He's real dangerous. Do you understand just the extremity of how crazy that is? Does anybody else understand just how backward your world has become? That somebody, Cardi B, God bless her, she's trying. I think Cardi's smarter than she looks, though. I think Cardi's trying. I think she's probably conflicted. Cardi B, a woman who bragged openly about raping and robbing, drugging, raping, and robbing men, not her raping them, but actually getting a tranny to rape the men. She said this. She said this publicly. She's doing interviews with the president. Do you really think that Joe Biden would ever sit down and talk to a black person like me or anybody similar to me? But yet you'll talk to and elevate and be proud to be connected to the person who openly spoke about drugging, raping, and robbing other human beings. That's how backward things have gotten. So I just personally think that the place to be, if you're black, is you want to be the dangerous Negro. I'm very happy to be marginalized. I'm very happy that I'm not mainstream, because y'all mainstream Negroes are out of your mind. Y'all crazy. This don't even make no damn sense. There's nothing good that will come out of this culture. Hip hop culture. So when I see this story about this little girl coming back, 20 years later, saying I was 17 when I slept with Diddy and 3 of his friends because they drugged me, which again, who drugged who? How did you get the drugs in your body? You're an adult, you're high. It's hard for me to imagine. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's hard for me to imagine a man who attracts so many women feeling like I have to drug this one, or I got to take this, right? That when there's so many women offering it to you, right? So I'm not speculating on this case, but I think that even the language is very political. And so when you read these articles, I want you to notice how certain language is used and certain positions are taken. So let's keep reading here. So they said, according to the suit, Combs and his associates plied her with copious amounts of drugs and alcohol. The suit alleges that Combs raped her over a bathroom sink while she went in and out of consciousness, and that Combs then watched the third man also rape her. Now, again, another interesting thing here is I wonder, again, if you're in and out of consciousness, how much do you remember? How much do you remember? How much can you prove? I think that is a question. Again, some people don't like to hear hard questions. They just get mad. They don't answer them. But that's a question I think worth asking is, if you're unconscious, how do you remember every single detail of everything that allegedly happened and who did what? The woman decided to come forward after reading about another lawsuit. Yeah, and that's Diddy's problem, is that every single woman he's ever slept with, every man, if he ever sleeps with men are going to come out. He's going to get muddled with a ton of lawsuits. So what Diddy's interesting question is right now, I bet his team is asking this question is, do we sit back and quietly, just let it all happen, or do we fight back? Right? Do we fight back? And I think that they're going to end up fighting. And I think the reason that they're fighting, Diddy just issued a statement where he basically said, I'm not going to take this line down. I didn't do any of these things, etc., which I think is a losing battle for him, because we know Diddy has a track record. We know Diddy got dirt. There's no question about whether or not Diddy, was being Diddy, right? Because why? Well, because in hip hop, you don't just engage in debaucherous behavior. You market that like it's a good thing. For a very long time, this behavior was encouraged. Malcolm X used to say that the white man will sell you the liquor bottle and then he'll lock you up for being drunk. They will lure you in to get you to have fun at the party, do your thing, let it loose, and then later on, they're going to hold you accountable for every single thing you did, even if you don't remember. In this society, a woman who is drunk is not accountable for the behavior she engages in while she's drunk, but a man who is drunk is accountable for everything that he did while he was drunk. That right there should make you wonder why we have such a double standard. How in the hell is it that if she's high and she's drunk, she can't consent to anything, but if I'm high and I'm drunk, I got to take accountability for everything? Oh, well, because you have a penis and you... Yeah, but women are not cupcakes. Women are not these feeble little objects that they were back when they had no rights. Women will fight with men. There are very assertive women who will make it clear. There are women out here. Seriously, I'm not disrespecting women at all, but I'm telling you, y'all know what I'm talking about. There are women out here who will openly who will get pregnant with your baby and kill the baby and not feel like they have to tell you shit. Seriously, like really, does anybody else think that's a little weird that somebody could get pregnant with my child, kill my child, not tell me they killed my child, and not give a damn if I object to you killing my child, if I'm traumatized from you killing my child, or whatever? I'm sorry. That's a double standard, people. That's a double standard. That's crazy to me. So again, I'm not saying you should agree or disagree. I'm telling you to agree. Some of y'all are, you're pro-choice, and I respect all of that. I'm not here to judge your choice, right? You're pro-choice, or you want to do whatever you're gonna do, right? Cool. I won't get you pregnant. So how about that? You do what you want. You won't be carrying my seed. That's okay. I married a woman where we agreed in advance that hey baby, if you ever get pregnant with my baby, you ain't gonna kill my baby and then not tell me, right? No, Boyce, I would never do that. Thank you. I love you too. Right. So it's fine. Right. So don't get offended if you are pro-choice. I'm just speaking on what I perceive to be an interesting double standard. But here's the thing. There's nothing new about that. There's nothing new. This is only a surprise to black people who forgot that you were black. This is only a surprise to black men who never learned the history of all the double standards that have been sending black men to prison since the beginning of time. The law has always been used as a weapon to either incarcerate men, kill them, or take away any resources that they have. Why do you think your families don't have any wealth? They don't have any wealth, not because your ancestors didn't work hard. They worked just as hard as you, probably harder than you, harder than us. They worked harder than we did. They accumulated wealth just like you're doing. A lot of y'all got the money in the 401k. You're making the investments and all that. You're accumulating wealth. You ain't the first black person to have a dream and a vision and make a plan for your family. Your granddaddy did it too. But you know what happened to your granddaddy was they said, oh, that Negro getting highfalutin over there. He got a farm. He's got a business. He got money in his pocket. Oh, let's go over there and accuse him of something. And since I know the sheriff and he's a member of the Klan too, just like me, we're going to go over here and arrest him. And while he's locked up, he won't be able to pay the taxes on the land. So we'll just take it all. That's what they did. That's what they've always done. So the use of accusations to take away the wealth of black men has always been in effect. It's always there, right? Now, is this being used on Diddy? I can't use Diddy as a perfect case study on this, man, because Diddy, you let your hair down too much, bro. You did. You got comfortable. Diddy's the type of dude who, if I was friends with Diddy, I'm friends with certain rappers. I've told you about my connections to certain artists, mostly the ones I know the best. I talk to Kanye a lot, Ice Cube, stuff like that, right? But here's the thing. One difference between me and when I used to go hang out with Damon Dash in LA, Damon, I used to do stuff. I didn't feel as comfortable around white folks as they did. I would be like, wow, you really hang out with these people and they really like you. They don't like me very much, but maybe it's my growing up as a black boy in Kentucky that always put me on guard. Like, I'm the guy. I don't know if anybody else grew up in a house like this. I grew up in a house where I was told little things like, if you get a job and all the white folks are getting drunk at the office party, don't you do that. Don't you go out there and get drunk just like them. You ain't gonna fit in, because if the shit hits the fan, your black ass will be the first one in the unemployment line. That's what the kind of stuff my grandma would teach me. And I thought she was being paranoid, but I listened. When I got that job at Syracuse University and I was a 30-year-old man making over $100,000 a year, think about it, I'm hot shit. I'm the only African-American on the planet, male or female, to get a PhD in finance that year. So I was like the Michael Jordan of finance. Like, I was on top of my stuff. My father said, when I went to campus, he said, don't you fuck nothing on that campus. Not no students, not no faculty, not the secretary, nothing. Do not let your penis ruin everything that you work for. You go find some ass off campus. If you want want a woman, go find you a woman off campus. There's a lot of good ones off campus. And I kept that in my head. You know, and years later, there was another black professor, the same age as me, and we were on a panel, and the grad students were all in the audience listening to us talk, and we're kind of appealing, right? Because we're like young and they're like in their early to mid 20s. So the girls are googly eyed. He was better looking than me, right? I'm not Mr. Swag. I've never wanted to have swag. I don't give a shit about that. I want to just be a man. He had those little green eyes there. So all the girls kind of like, ooh, right? So, but I was like, remember what my father said, don't you fuck nothing on that campus. I kept that in my head. So I wasn't, nope, you're a student. That's like you being a baby to me. No, not interested. He slept with one of the students. She was 24 years old. She was a student in his class. Apparently they had a good relationship until it wasn't good anymore. After the relationship ended, 6 months later, she accuses him of sexual misconduct. Now, I still don't quite know exactly what sexual misconduct is. I don't think it's not sexual assault. It's not quite sexual harassment. It's sexual misconduct. I still don't even understand. I got to go Google that. Well, anyway, before the allegations were even cleared up, before they even did the investigation, they put his picture on TV with a mugshot. I'll never forget seeing his picture in that mugshot. And I'm like, wow. That's what my father was talking about. See, this is why fathers matter, in case you're wondering. Like, some of y'all been trained to believe daddies don't matter. No, your father gives you that advice. He teaches you how to play chess in this world. Mothers can do it too, kind of, but there's something about the daddy saying it that just sticks a little bit better. And here's the thing. He never went to jail or nothing. Like, the charges got dropped, but they can't never drop that mugshot. They can't erase that mugshot from people's minds. And this guy had a PhD. He worked hard his whole life to get this reputation. And one accusation kind of took that away from him. And I feel like it was patently unfair. You know, and so the same way they protect the identity of the accuser, as if the accuser is definitely the victim, I think they should sometimes protect the identity of the accused, because sometimes the accused is the victim. Now, is Diddy a victim? I don't think so. I don't know. Again, it all comes down to how much do you think somebody should pay? If they slept with somebody 20 years ago and the person accuses them of something, right? Like that's the hard part, right? That's up to you to decide. But still, the idea, here's the problem. You create it because we have the double standard, because we have the bias, and because people are strategic, especially groupies. Groupies are like rocket scientists when it comes to getting their bread. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about. And the groupie working with the lawyer becomes the most strategic chess match ever, right? You literally are pulling together two masterful financial manipulators who are going to say, oh, well, it's not like there's a standard of proof here. We don't actually have to really prove anything. All we got to do is make the accusation. And because the media is biased, just like we are, and it's a black man and he's famous, oh, they'll put it in the headlines, and then we'll just get paid just because it's in the headlines. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm going to just tell you like this. I don't think these accusations should be released to the media. I think that these accusations should be private until there is some element of proof, because you cannot have a world where anybody can go accuse anybody of anything. And notice, they ain't accusing broke men of these things, and they're not accusing women of these things. They're going after wealthy men, particularly wealthy black men, because there is a preconceived idea in the minds of most that black men are inherently criminal. And then the feminist, the movement, the Me Too movement expands that to white males as well. That powerful white men, if a powerful white man is hit on by a woman who is a subordinate in the organization, somehow he must be the villain because he's the guy that has the most money and the most power. And you make that conclusion without doing any investigation whatsoever. You don't look at text messages, who was hitting on who. And this is just inconsistent with reality. Because I can think of several times where women were really aggressive in terms of pursuing me because they wanted to get next to Boyce Watkins. Why? I have no fucking idea. But apparently there's this class, because y'all know me, I'm a nerd, so I read books about stuff like this. And apparently there's a class of women called sapiosexuals who are very attracted to men who are smart. I might not be tall, I might not be that handsome, and I might be an asshole 22% of the time. But one thing I can say that I probably am is I'm a little bit smart. I do have some education, so maybe that's it. But even in my own experience, that's just not what I see, right? And the reality is that when you get into a state where you are the man, or you go places and everyone wants to talk to you, you don't have to go chase women or take things. It gets offered to you constantly. It was offered to me constantly. And so having my wife was a relief because I could be like, oh, here's my wife. Oh, like I'm holding up a little poster with a face on it. Like, here's my wife, lady. Hey, my wife. Right. And just to kind of create that distance, because you're like, man, people will just make stuff up. And they'll make it up because they're like, I can just accuse this person and people will believe me just because I'm a woman. My vagina somehow has a truth serum in it that makes me incapable of telling a lie. See, L. Harrigan says, you're handsome, boy. See, there she goes in there flirting. I'm playing. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. But and I didn't mean to get too silly with it. And I hope I hope my point is being made. This is a circus. This is becoming a circus. And the thing is, though, Diddy has always been the clown. Diddy's been the circus. He's been the circus master, the clown. He's been all that. A lot of hip hop artists signed up to be the clown at the biggest circus in America. And for over 20 something years, I've always been wondering what's going to happen when the world changes and people start judging and evaluating things you did back when there appeared to be no rules. So I think Diddy's going to be the first casualty. I think Jay-Z, Nas, a lot of these older rappers are going to have some issues. I think Michael Jordan, I have to be careful. I know people that know Michael, so I'm not trying to be disrespectful. But remember, Michael Jordan in Chicago, R. Kelly's in Chicago. They're all friends. They're all hanging out. They're all doing things where there are no rules. I'm not saying any of these guys did anything. I'm saying that what occurs, though, here's the thing this is what I want you to tell your son, okay? The thing your son needs, and your daughter probably needs to know this too, is that sex is powerful. Sex is a powerful energy that's transferred between two people, and it must be respected and treated with some sort of sacred respect. Like not to the point where you have to get married and have kids just because you slept with somebody, but I'm talking about just to the point where you got to make sure you understand that in economics, we have a term that there's no such thing as a free lunch. And so in the universe, nothing is free. So that means that if I think, okay, I'm gonna go get the goodies from this girl, and we're gonna do X, Y, Z, and there's no consequences for me because I can just move on to the next one. I think that's flawed thinking, because what happens is that every time you lay down with somebody like that, you're giving away a little bit of power. They have something on you, right? Like ladies too, right? You sleep with a guy, you think it's not a big deal. Well, now you've got another guy who's been with you in your most vulnerable state. He can go tell stories. He can go do whatever, right? He might be carrying baggage that could be a problem for you. I know a woman 2 weeks ago who got murdered by the man that she allegedly loved, right? So ultimately, you're connected. Lisa mentions the term soul ties. Absolutely, for sure. If you study the biochemistry of the brain, especially for women with the oxytocin receptors, you are deeply connected to the men that you sleep with. So I do think that there's a reason to be thoughtful and respectful of this. And then for men, the idea of some woman carrying your baby and giving birth to your child and it being a woman that you don't respect on any level, that is a problem, because that's going to harm your children, because then you got to explain to your kids why your mom was being raised by crazy, or why your kids are being raised by, by this person that isn't making good choices, or a person, or why is my mama a stripper who's hooked on crack? Well, because daddy wasn't thinking about all that. He was just thinking about getting some ass. I think it has to be deeper than that, right? So I think that with Diddy, it goes deeper though. When you talk about men that have money, when you're sleeping with women, see, it's a contradiction when you have wealthy men, wealthy rappers who are indoctrinated into a culture where you're taught to believe that anything is yours, that all the women will lay down with you. And men, we're used to believing we always have the power. And we don't understand women are very powerful in this society. So every time you lay down with a woman, she's got leverage on you. She's got leverage. If you've got something to lose, this is another thing my father taught me. I think everybody should hear from my dad's advice, because he's not a perfect man, but he's a strong man, and he's a strategic man. And one thing he used to tell me is a person who has something to lose should not be spending a lot of time around people who have nothing to lose. So what does that mean? That means if you're Diddy and you've got, $1 billion in the bank and a bunch of companies that lean on your face is a $1 billion brand, because you're selling the Diego vodka and you're selling, Earn Your Leisure stuff and all that stuff. Like, you got all these business deals you've made that are connected to the integrity of your brand. You have to sort of process that and understand that anybody that you engage with on a sexual level has the leverage to destroy that brand, to harm that brand, right? They can come out with a story, and I don't know if hip hop culture encourages men to think on that level. I really don't. I think it encourages men to be animals. It encourages them to be stupid, unstrategic, undisciplined, and sloppy as fuck. That's what it encourages you to do. Kobe Bryant, RIP to Kobe. You mentioned, remember Kobe accused Shaq? Exactly. Kobe accused Shaq, but then let's talk about it. Let's be honest about this. Kobe Bryant disappointed me tremendously when I found out that this married man went and met a chick and slept with her without a condom 45 minutes later, and this lady had slept with 2 or 3 men the same week. Love Kobe, loved him as a player, loved him as a champion. Very smart man. I'm sure he was a great dad, but Lord, man, like, really, you laying down with nasty hoes with no condom that you don't even know, and then you got a wife at home. You're bringing all that back to your spouse. But here's the thing, though. I don't even know why women would sign up for that. That's the other thing, too. I don't know why. I mean, again, I'm not even judging that people cheat on their spouses or what. I honestly, I see it all. People do stuff, right? I'm not judging that. I'm just saying, where's the strategic thinking here? Like, does stuff like sex make us that crazy and dumb that we will put it all on the line and destroy everything, just for an orgasm? I'm just going to say this. I'm going to say this because I don't want to sound too preachy. I'm not trying to tell nobody what to do. I'm going to tell you how, if you're trying to be a boss, a king, a queen, a winner, a leader, have something together. I say this as a highly imperfect man, by the way. I want to make sure I'm not out here pretending to be perfect. I ain't out here trying to preach to nobody or get on a pedestal. I don't do that. But I'm going to tell you, though, that the more of a kingdom you're trying to build, the more you have to be thoughtful about protecting it. A man who doesn't have sexual discipline is usually going to lose the kingdom that he has, and it's going to be linked to something involving a woman or a man. That's what it is. That's how they get you. It's the oldest trick in the book. They've been doing it for 100,000 years. Let's go wave some vagina in front of this undisciplined man. Catch him, get him liquored up, get him to do something stupid. Next thing you know, we're gonna get a piece of what he's got. So to me, when you talk about things like who you choose to sleep with, or if you get married, who you choose to marry, Steve Harvey said it real well when he said that a woman is an elevator. She can elevate you or she can destroy you, and so you got to make sure you pick the right elevator in your life. And the same thing is true with women, because I told you 2 weeks ago, Robin Simpson, Houston, Texas, she was B1. She spoke at our convention, was just allegedly murdered, tragically stabbed over 70, 80 times by her husband in front of her daughter. Like, this is a real story. You can go look it up. Her name's Robin Simpson. I encourage you to go look it up, because it's all, the story's all kinds of messed up. He literally cut her heart out of her body, allegedly. It's a mess. It's a mess. So the same thing is, I'm not just talking to the men, I'm really talking to the women. And when you're talking about things like the things that we talk about on this platform, like wealth building and wealth protection and all that, it drives me insane that rappers influence so many of our young people because rappers are just sloppy ass people. They just, in general, not all of them, but many of them just live a sloppy lifestyle. Liquor, drugs, 1,000 women, all these vulnerabilities. And so people that are able to think strategically can easily come and take everything you got. I'll tell you a story about that real quick, and then I will let you go. Do me a favor, please. Hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, this podcast is on Spotify. I saw some of you ask if the podcast is on Spotify. It is. Also, if you want to get profit alerts of stocks that I like, just text the word stock to 31996. Text stock to 31996. And in addition to that, on January 1st, I'm going to do a financial consciousness training, 30 straight days, every single day of the week, 10 a.m. for 30 to 45 minutes. We're going to do a financial lesson every day. And we're going to work through my book, 30 Days to Wealth and Power, which is a financial reflection journal that will elevate your economic consciousness so you'll understand where you are, where you've been, where you want to go, how to get there. I'll take care of you, bring the whole family. The cost of the class is $299, but for the first couple hundred people, if you want to just buy a copy of the book, I'll let you in for free if you get the book. The book is $24. Now, right now, the book is sold out. We a lot of you signed up. The book it's already gone. However, we're going to get some more in stock. If you text stock to 31996, the word stock to 31996, I will text you when the books come in stock and you can sign up. We're going to meet every single day on our social media platform. It's called B1 Nation, b1nation.us. So go ahead and apply to b1nation.us and just answer the questions really quickly, and we'll let you in. That way you'll be inside and you can get access when we do the 30-day class. We're going to start New Year's Day. We're going to go 30 straight days. We're going to get it in. We're going to elevate ourselves for 2024. All right. So here's the last point. I'm going to tell you a quick story. In terms of, first of all, again, the summary on Diddy is that I think Diddy is going to have more of these suits. Don't be surprised if at some point he has to declare bankruptcy. I think it's affecting his corporate relationships. I don't think that some of these other brands are really going to want to be associated with him. I know that the vodka brand, they already said in the suit, they said he's very toxic. We don't want him representing our brand. We don't want his face on anything. Everybody's thinking this, right? I'm sure the guys over at Earn Your Leisure are trying to figure out what to do with this. You got the Breakfast Club connected to Revolt TV, right? So all these things kind of are being affected in a crazy way. So I don't care how much Diddy acts like everything's okay. I don't think that it is. I think that he's now at a point strategically where he's going to have to make a decision regarding like, okay, what do I do next? How do I respond now? Right? Because before you could sort of take the Jay-Z Beyonce response where Jay-Z and Beyonce are kind of like the Obamas, right? They elevate their brand by just being really quiet. They don't respond to rumors. They don't respond to allegations. They don't respond to anything. Will and Jada were like that for a while until somehow, for some reason, Jada decided to go and start telling everybody's business. And then it just became kind of a shit show and they kind of look ridiculous right now, to be honest with you. I think they're going to be okay, though, because Will Smith I watch his Instagram. He's very smart, strategic, intelligent. I don't know Will, but I met his brother, Harry. I talked to Harry for many, many hours, and I could tell they come from a smart family. So I know that Will was going to handle it really well. I was very surprised, though, that Will slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars on his biggest night ever. I didn't get it. Just didn't make sense to me. It was like, why not slap him after the Oscars? Why not slap him the year before when you weren't going to win anything big? Why slap him on the day where you become best actor? That I did not understand at all. But then again, though, I don't know them, so I can't speak to that. However, I will say that I think that Diddy for a long time just didn't respond to accusations. He was very strategic about just keeping it cool and just being Diddy. He's up here, the internet's down here. You can't respond to every crazy thing on the internet. But I think this is where Diddy is now starting to fight back. And I wonder if what's going to happen. I bet what's going to occur. And you're right, BC. Macy's did drop his clothing line. What's going to probably happen is that it's going to get real messy and interesting, because I think what Diddy's probably going to end up doing is sharing the backgrounds of the accusers. And honestly, I think that's fair play, fair game. I know we have this idea that somehow the accuser is sacred and we can't say anything negative about the accuser. No, I want to know all the facts. I want to know everything. What was really going on? Who was the accuser? Who is the accused, right? Everybody's credibility matters. The idea that the spotlight is shined on one person and there's no spotlight on the other person is just fundamentally unfair, because then anybody can just sit up there and throw rocks and hide their hand, right? I'd like to know what was really going on, right? Not to say that Diddy's innocent. I'm not saying, I don't think he's innocent of anything, honestly. I think Diddy did a lot of stuff, but I'd like to know everything, because I know some of that culture. And remember, that culture attracts a lot of scandalous people, people that want to get next to the rapper so they can extort something from them. So I'd like to know the whole situation. I also think this. Here's another prediction that I have. A lot of rappers, any OG rapper, I'm talking about Jay-Z across the board, all these guys have 30 years, 40 years of history that people can pick apart. They've got a long history of people like Russell Simmons. I did some work with Russell. I told you guys about that. And Russell had an accusation from like the early 90s or something like that. And it was interesting that one accusation that I saw that was really interesting came from a lady named Salai something. I can't remember her last name. And I found that really interesting because I knew Salai. I know her, right? And I knew that she had an issue with alcohol and drugs from what she's openly sort of talked about. And so, so if she says these things happened to me, it doesn't mean I don't believe what she's saying. It's that I want to know what you did too. I want to know what was really going on. Do you understand what I'm saying? It doesn't mean I'm sitting there looking at anybody and saying, oh, you're an angel or you're the devil. I see sometimes in those situations, it's really just two devils in the devil's playground. That's what it is. That's it. It's two devils in the devil's playground, and it's almost like when the cops when they hire like a drug dealer to snitch on another drug dealer, right? Ain't nobody really innocent, right? It's kind of like everybody kind of getting together doing stuff that regular people don't even do anyway. So I remember I questioned that accusation, not because I was defending Russell, because I can't defend Russell. I was not there in the 90s. I remember Russell in an interview saying something like when we would get off the plane, me and Curtis Blow, we look for the pussy and the cocaine. And I was like, oh, that's going to cause you problems. You're looking for drugs and random women. Oh, that's you're asking for it, right? But again, hip hop creates the space where black men get very comfortable and they really think you're not black anymore. You really think that you can just do whatever you want, that there are no rules for you. And that is a very dangerous place for a man to live. Sometimes, let me just say it like this. Sometimes the worst thing that can ever happen to a man is to get everything he wants. The worst thing that can ever happen to you is when you get everything you want. When you're a celebrity, the world spoils you. It does. It does. I'm not even a D-lister. But I can name drop. I've been around some famous people. I've been, in spaces where I've been in space. I can say this. For example, I did an event in London, and there were so many people in line to get their book signed that my arm was hurting as I was signing the books. I looked at the long line and said, "Oh my God, this is going to be so painful to get through all these books." But I was really happy. And I appreciate every one of you. So I know a little bit about what it's like to be in the to get that attention, right? And one of the things that I meditate on is not letting the attention spoil me to the point where I forget that I'm black, I forget that I'm human, I forget about the importance of being decent to people, or I forget about the fact that you have to still be mindful of who you're around and what you're doing, right? And this requires focus. It requires me to, like, I think a lot because I'm a professor, so I think a lot. I don't mess around with drugs and alcohol. So I imagine, what if I was, instead of being a 52-year-old man who meditates every day, what if I was a 24-year-old who was high and drunk all the time, horny as hell, ain't never had nothing before, right? Oh, I'd be a ticking time bomb. I'd be a lawsuit waiting to happen, most likely. I'd be the biggest sucker on the block. Because you're young, you ain't never had nothing. You all the women look good, and now you half high and half drunk all the time, and nobody ever trained you on the dangers of black men in embracing mind-altering substances in a society where you're going to be held accountable for everything you did. A black man cannot commit a crime and then say, I was drugged, that's why I committed the crime. I can't think of a single lawsuit where a black man has won against a white woman where he says she drugged me and raped me and took my good stuff, so give me $10 million. That don't happen for us. So I do believe, like my grandma used to say, when you're black, you got to be a little bit more careful. And I'm not wagging my finger at Diddy or anybody else. I'm not trying to do that. But I am saying that being spoiled is kind of like a deal with the devil, right? And you think about it, right? When you spoil something, it becomes rotten, right? When something's spoiled, you don't want to be around it. You don't want to eat it. Yeah, it ain't healthy, right? And so a lot of these celebrities, their souls have become corrupted because as spiritually they are spoiled, right? And that's just not a good place to be. R. Kelly, if R. Kelly was a regular dude who like a garbage truck guy or something that made $20 an hour, there's no way he could have been able to dig to the depths of his own demons and debauchery to the level that he did. R. Kelly was spoiled by the world. He would make an album and tell you, he told you in broad daylight, I'm a freak, I'm a hoe, I'm half crazy, I might shit on you, and you gonna like it. And people were cheering that on. They would give him more money. Oh, we love that last album. And I'm looking at it like, so you had 8 girls in the truck and you slept with all of them? And people are just like, oh, that's so cool, right? Because again, because the culture is so backward. Our culture, we don't think about these things. We don't. So I would encourage you, if you are a person who understands what I'm saying, and I'm not sitting there pretending like I am right about everything, but if you get anything that I'm saying, I want to encourage you to do that exploration, and you need to make your own sense about the reality that's around you and not just fall into whatever the crowd is thinking, whatever the crowd is doing. I encourage you to do that. Do that exploration. Ask yourself, if I do what they're doing, is that really going to work out for me? My girlfriends are telling me I should sleep with 20 men a year or whatever. Is that how's that going to work if I get a series of yeast infections and my uterus gets rotted out and I can't have kids when I'm 35 years old? I'm not saying I'm not making fun of that. I'm just saying, generally speaking, I think you should ask these questions and think about what's down the pipe for me if I continue with this behavior. If I go out with my homeboys every week and we get drunk and high and we go to the club, what's my odds of something terrible happening and one of us ending up in prison? What are my odds of never reaching my goals because I'm doped out or on liquor or whatever? So if for men, just a little side note, the 4 things that tend to bring a man down, write this down. The 4 things that tend to bring a man down, if they're not done in moderation, are sex, drugs, alcohol, gambling. Sex, drugs, alcohol, gambling. Too many women. Drugs, messing with drugs at all, because drugs are mind-altering substances. They can ruin your mind and your body. And then when you get to be where you're like a 45-year-old drug addict, you'll probably be close to death. If put it this way, if Lil Wayne is here 20 years from now, I will be really impressed. Right? Not that I want him to be gone, but he in his 30s, he was already having physical problems, because what happens as you get older, your body can't handle what you did when you were in your 20s. When you're in your early 20s, you're young and you're healthy and strong. Your body can do a lot of stuff. Like you can get drunk, stay up till 4 a.m. and get up at 7 a.m. and still keep it moving. When you get about 35, 40, 45, it ain't like that no more. You're all those demons from the past come back and they start collecting, and then you suffer big time. Or even all the women you slept with. So you got babies spread out everywhere. Those babies grow up, and then next thing you know, you're 45 years old, and some 20-year-old who hates your guts is knocking at your door, threatening to kick your ass because you were never there for him when he was a baby. He was crying for his dad, right? Chickens come home to roost. That's the point. Chickens come home to roost. So sex, drugs, alcohol. Alcohol is believed to be safe because everybody does it. On college campuses, I was at Syracuse University, and I remember I was really pissed off because they would encourage the kids to engage in binge drinking. I felt like they were encouraging them. They would really act like they acted like that's just what you do when you're in college, and they didn't think about how many times people get raped while they're on drugs or while they're drunk, how many terrible accidents happen, how many kids went to prison because they were drinking, and also how many people became lifetime alcoholics. But alcohol is actually rated as the most dangerous drug in the world, actually, because it's that high because everybody thinks it's safe, right? So again, not telling you not to drink, just telling you to be careful. I do not drink. I have no interest in drinking. You're not going to pump me into taking a drink. Fuck you. No, I'm not. I want to be right for my family. I want to be a good dad. I want to make sure I'm in my right mind. I'm not going to go get drunk and end up traumatizing my family because I turned into some kind of asshole because I've been drinking too much. The last one is gambling. Gambling addictions are the quickest way to destroy your wealth. A gambling addict will spend not just all the money you have, they will spend money that you don't have. Gambling addictions lead people to do things like suicide sometimes, because what happens is they get into such a deep economic hole that they can't imagine getting out. Imagine making $40,000 a year, but you're $250,000 in debt. You can't get out of that debt, only using $40,000 a year income. You won't even have access to $40,000 a year because you got to pay bills. After you pay all your bills, you might have $2,000 a year to pay off this $250,000 debt. So the only way you can pay off this debt is by gambling more, right? Which creates even more debt, right? So I'm gonna tell you this. Be careful with gambling. They're legalizing gambling. They're making it okay. It is not okay just because it's legal. Stop letting government tell you what the difference is between legality and morality. There's a difference between something that's legal and something that's smart. The government doesn't care about you. Corporate America don't care about you. They will get you addicted to their products, suck you dry financially, and not give a damn about what happens to you when you're in the poorhouse. So be careful with the gambling, please. And then when you pick your partner, when you get married and all that stuff, I wouldn't marry somebody that was like really deep into gambling. I just wouldn't. Or at the very least, I wouldn't let them have access to my money. Seriously. So some of y'all, it's usually the guys, to be honest with you. Some of y'all dating the guy, maybe he's nice, maybe the sex is good, he's cute and all that stuff, but he likes to gamble a little too much and his money kind of disappears. Just know that if you sign up for that long term, you make that man the father of your kids or you marry him, you might be getting a damaged asset. So if I'm looking at criteria, let's say they build a time machine and suddenly I become 28 years old again. And let's say I got a wife, but let's say I didn't have one and I'm looking for a wife. You know what I look at more than anything? I look at the kind of life you're living. I look at what kind of person are you? Are you a person that takes penitentiary chances? Or are you a person who doesn't go chasing waterfalls? Are you a person who invests in things that are healthy, that are going to benefit you long term? Or are you a person that just lives in the moment? That goes down to basic stuff like reading books, going to the gym, investing for the future, being a good person. Are you a person that escalates and wants to fight everybody? Or are you a person that wants to de-escalate so you can get along with everybody, right? Those little variables I find are tremendous when it comes to finding the right people to ride with in this bumpy journey called life. It is not easy. Inflation is out of control. It is very hard to pay bills these days. Corporations, they're not paying more money, but yet the debts are going up. Student loan debt's going up. Credit card debt's going up. The other type of debt, car loan debt, is at a record high. So effectively, you have to be smarter than the average bear to really succeed in this society. So anybody who's young, especially, make sure you find your own rules and follow them and gain the courage to not let anybody talk you out of that, because I'm telling you, a lot of people are headed to hell in a handbasket, but they feel comfortable because there's something about being in a crowd of people that are all destroying their lives that makes you feel better about destroying yours. Don't fall for the hype. Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. All right. So anyway, I'm out of here. Do me a favor. Thumbs up, share, subscribe if you have not done that yet. Also, this podcast is on Spotify. If you look up my name on Spotify, you'll find the podcast. I'm also on Apple. My website is boycewatkins.com. There's lots of free resources there. I can send you some free resources as well if you want to get on the text list. Text the word stock to 31996. I'll send you stocks that I like, and I'll send that stuff to you today, actually. So just text the word stock to 31996. So thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you very, very much. If you could hit that thumbs up button on the way out, because since I talk so much crazy shit, I get shadow banned and everything. So I need y'all's help to help me rig the algorithm and get seen. But I am happy though. Like our channel's got over 1 million views in the last 48 hours. So we hanging in there. We trying to get it done. We're trying to create independent Black media. It's hard, but we're going to keep going. So God bless you. And thank you so much for your support. And I love you. I'll see you guys later. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.